Holy cow. Holy cow, what a day. What a show we got for you today. Welcome into Stadium Pulse. I'm Jason Hamby. I can't wait to show you guys what we got. Literally and figuratively today. Viewer discretion may be advised for what I'm about to show you, but what's today about? Today is about rivalry. Today is about, and tomorrow obviously, is about red against orange. It's about colors that are easy on the eyes versus colors that are horrendous to the eyes. And that obviously being Tennessee. Orange is Georgia, Tennessee. We got a top 15 matchup, and it's win or go home. It's playoff implications. You can't get any bigger. History and tradition aside, we're going to have all of that for you today. We've also got full bracket reaction from the top 12. Obviously, Georgia being the first one out. We got that for you. The teams that really squandered their opportunities, solidify their chance last week. The teams that still have that opportunity this week. We're checking the polls, of course. Tallahassee, oh boy. Orlando, probably still an oh boy. And Gainesville, where future looks bright. We'll have all that, but look, I gotta bring my boy in. Before I do, I hope y'all enjoy. I hope y'all enjoy the. I don't even know what you are, bro. First of all, the guy comes in here, he's about sick as a dog, so I already appreciate him enough, but he sounds like freaking that he ought to be on the porch, right? At about 85, maybe 90, if you're 85
Smoking on a pipe.
Oh, dude.
I'm a knife whittling on some wood.
I can't hold it any longer. Bring yourself. Oh.
Howdy, folks.
Chat. Bro.
Jerseys overall.
Dude.
Look at that and all, buddy.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Oh, it is.
Why is your hat like that? Because the headphone.
Put the headset on. It was either I let it down and just like it looks the opposite way,
dude,
or I just pin it up. And I have there's an old bluegrass guy who wears his hat like this. I love him, but
he probably sucks.
No, bluegrass guy? No, don't say that, buddy.
If he's wearing anything like you're wearing.
Oh, hold on. Now I got to look up his name real fast because I'm going to show you.
Bro, you're about to, like, the camera might shut off in there at any point just because it can't handle this anymore.
Yeah, because it's too good looking. Can't all this nice orange is Pantone 151C.
I don't even know what you just said.
Pantone 151C is the color code. I know it's a nerd thing to know, but I do know it.
I don't even know, bro. This guy came in here
Ralph
walking in.
Stanley. That's his name. Look him up.
Dude. All the more reason for us to hate y'all's guts. Because y'all do stuff like this and think y'all can get away with it and think it's cool. And I'm just playing with you. Not really. You look ridiculous, bro. We're going to get to that game. We're going to have a full prediction for you. But I had to show you that right away because, look, I mean, honestly, my number one goal for today is not be distracted by looking in there and lock in.
If you ain't looking in here, you got to look at it on the screen.
Well, too. But we got a lot for y'all today, and we're gonna start. Nick, how about we start with a collective soul clap for Georgia Tech?
Seriously, yeah.
I mean,
I mentioned.
Go ahead.
On the Saturday show, the No Name Show with Casey Kurtz, I said, don't doubt Tech. I feel like I said this.
The buzz?
Yeah, man. Ramblin' Wreck, man. I think we may have picked it or leaned that way. Miami's due because they're just a bit lazy. You can say it's being nonchalant one way or the other, but especially Cam Ward in the backfield sometimes is just he's good, but I think he thinks in his own head he's better than what he really is.
I think so too. Look, you see the nonchalant style that he plays with. It's so fun to watch. At the same time, like I've said on this show quite a bit, it makes you wonder how much that will play at the next level.
Yeah.
And good defenses and disciplined defenses will figure that out. And the difference in that game, and to that point, the difference in that game, what Georgia Tech was able to do that no other team. Because look, Miami's been on the ropes. How many times?
3-4
right? It was the same situation against Tech, where they're down 5. They're going to come back, score a touchdown in the last couple minutes to win the game, and right off into the sunset, still undefeated. What Georgia Tech did was they got them on the ground. They got to Cam Ward, and they didn't let them escape, right? That's what Duke did. That's what a lot of teams have done so far this year.
Able to finish it off.
Yeah, exactly. They finished it off, and we got to give them a lot of credit. Here's what this does, because we're going to get to it kind of leads right into the bracket. We're going to get to that in a second. I've said before that I didn't think there was any way that multiple ACC teams make it into the 12-team playoff. Obviously, Clemson's loss and SMU doing what they've done means that Clemson is pretty much out, right? Yeah. I thought before Clemson lost that second game that they would stick with that one loss, obviously being the Georgia non-conference. They'd be able to play Miami in the ACC championship. I thought they would win. I thought they would be the ACC's sole representative in the playoff. Maybe Miami gets in as an 11 with one loss to a Clemson in the championship game. Obviously, because the bracket, there's some gray area. If you haven't paid a ton of attention to the committee, right, and you've only looked at the rankings and not what the committee said, there's been talks of, hey, we're not really going to count ACC or conference championships against you, right? If you're a 2-loss SEC team, and because we know there's going to be probably 4 of those, right, and you go to the SEC championship and you lose and become a third lost a 3L team, yeah, right? We're not going to, but that's not necessarily the case. The committee says they're going to watch the game, yeah, which means it matters how you lose. It matters how it looks. It matters how you play, how you show up. It's not just if you were in before the conference championship, you're automatically in. But anyways, back to Miami. They go down by 5 to G-Tech. Clemson is out. That means because of their loss. And so it looks like it's going to be SMU and Miami, and I don't think anybody, as much as I think that Miami would get handily defeated, I'll say, by the top 5 or 6 SEC teams, I think they would handle SMU very easily, in my opinion. SMU doesn't really have any kind of defense for that, so I think that's going to put Miami right in as the 3, right?
I'd agree with you.
Let's go ahead and pull up the bracket if we can. So here we go. Obviously, if you're just listening, we got visuals for you. So here's the full bracket. Obviously, Oregon is 1. They don't play anybody for the rest of the year, so they should be fine there. Ohio State's at 2. Their only loss being to Oregon by 1 point, I believe, or 1 or 2 points. And they'll play Indiana next week. Not this week, but next. So that'll be the biggest game for both of those teams at that point. 3 is Texas, right? And so hold on. Let me just so we clarify. Mm-hmm. The rankings and the playoff is 2 separate things, right? Because Ohio State is 2 in the rankings, but because the top 4 in the playoff go to the conference champions, that's why Texas is in there, BYU is in there, and Miami is in there. But the rankings really tell you how the committee feels about a team. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? So you got Tennessee in there at 7 in the rankings, but 8 in the playoff bracket. Ole Miss, Penn State, obviously, and then Indiana. My question revolving around Indiana, because Indiana's a tough one, man, because what happens when they're 10-0 becomes 10-1 to Ohio State? And I'm telling you, it depends on how they look, because here's the thing. They haven't played anybody yet still. Because, I mean, does a 5-point win against Michigan last week matter? Because that it was only 5 points and we know how bad Michigan's been? I don't know. But here's the deal. What is Indiana's schedule, or what is Indiana's record, Tennessee, Nick, if they played Georgia's schedule? If they played at Ole Miss, at Bama, at Texas, hosted Tennessee, and neutral sided against Clemson?
Probably not dead to know. Hey, but it's hard.
Grandpa, what's the record? What's Indiana's record? Are they winning 1 game of those 5?
All right, what were the 5 again? Ole Miss, Bama,
at Ole Miss, at Bama, at Texas, hosting Tennessee, neutral site Clemson.
Yeah, they're winning. One of them is Clemson.
and they're going 0-4 against the SEC bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, even if we give them one, they still have 3 losses after this week because Georgia, Tennessee is set tomorrow. Okay, so that's what you really got to think about. Indiana's strength of schedule, right? Because Georgia, as the first team out, we have the number 1 strength of schedule in college football. I don't think that's getting enough play, and that's not just because I'm a Georgia guy. I don't think it's getting enough play regardless because, look, we've made so much of Florida's strength of schedule, and deservedly so. They have the hardest schedule that they've probably ever had. Well, guess what? So has Georgia. So, and that plays when we talk about the Georgia Ole Miss loss, right? You had to play at Bama, at Texas. You split it. Look, the number 2 team right in the bracket, its only L is to you, and you blew them out. Talking about Georgia, right? You pretty much blew them out.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess this is we're gonna go back to our takeaways from last week, and I have to answer the call, answer the bell, and talk about Georgia and Ole Miss. I already did that on the Britton Austin show, and Austin wore me out on that, which deservedly so. He told me to make. When I kind of went on a little rant there. I don't know if you saw, Nick, but he asked that I make that into a record to play that he could play in his house whenever he wanted because it was music to his ears. I wasn't, did it dissuade me from continuing on that rant? No, it did not. I just continued. I think that was my duty to what I had to do, and a lot of that stemmed from obviously the storming of the field. That really got to me.
So you're not a fan of storming the field?
Not as a 2-point underdog, bro. Nick, seriously? Get rid of this bracket.
No, I mean, I was just, I didn't know this.
Nick, you're a 2-point underdog, bro. What was the expectation for take away? You didn't watch football these first 11 weeks of the season. What was the expectation for Ole Miss this year by its own fans?
Oh, it was 12-0. You go undefeated in the playoff and you win the national title.
That was the expectation?
100%.
Okay. Then you storm the field 0 times ever. Never.
Well,
not allowed.
It's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss.
But those fans that you just told me expected that. So you're already got 2 losses, right? So that's out.
Yeah.
Look, and I'm not trying to take it. I don't have a problem with Ole Miss as a team. I don't have a problem with Lane Kiffin, right? If you look, if the camera panned to Kiffin, and he had a couple words to say that I won't, but he pretty much said this is ridiculous, right? When the fans storm, I got nothing against him.
Yeah.
I'm mostly, as I said, I'm most mad at my football team because you didn't catch the ball. Your butt just got whipped on the offensive line for 4 quarters, right? You're making mental mistakes still, and you lost. Yeah. Right, you didn't play well. Dropping the football, it was unbelievable. But then, obviously, to add on to it, it was Ole Miss storming and early, obviously, with a full play left, 16 seconds. Didn't it used to be? I feel like every week I become more and more of the get off my lawn like. Used to be. Nick, first of all, we saw very little storming of the field, period, 10 years ago. And when we did, it was only 25, 30-point underdogs.
Yeah.
Not 2.5, bro.
It is also probably the biggest win in school history, which changes the context of it a little bit.
I get it.
But even, I mean, I'm not necessarily the...
Smoke cigars on the field, like go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they did post-Alabama this year.
Throw a party in the locker room.
I'm not necessarily at the get-off-my-yard kind of level on this yet. I still think it's a fun, cool thing for teams to do if they win big games. But, like, in the right time and place. So, like, in 22 when Tennessee beat Alabama, yeah, 100%. Storm the field, tear the goalpost down. Have a heyday now. It's been 16 years. Beating them this year, though... Like, look, there's new life in the rivalry where it's, an actual rivalry again where we're winning the game. We stormed the field, but for what? I mean, it's cool, but it didn't feel like we had to storm the field. Like, just to act like we're going to start whipping them and let's keep going.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I want it to be a rivalry again where we can walk back into Bryant-Denny and start winning the game. And I think it's genuinely part of the where like the future of the team's going. If Heupel keeps things on the track he's got them on,
right?
That's what I'd love to start to see happening. I mean, I wouldn't want it to just be a team that wins only at home in the big games because you got to win them on the road too, and it's going to be important tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be huge tomorrow. So to wrap on Ole Miss, look, here's my thoughts. You pretty much proved that as of right now, like, I wasn't ready to say before that game necessarily I needed more proof to know for a matter of fact that we were not anywhere close to the national title teams of 21-22, right? I didn't think we were. I had no proof that we were, but I needed one more game, or at least another half, because you could really tell that by a half of football even, that we weren't that, right? So here's what you know if you're a Georgia fan right now. You know you control your own destiny pretty much, right? That you got to, if you beat Tennessee, you're in, right? As Nate Adams said in the chat, if Georgia wins out, y'all are in. Well, yeah, you got Tennessee this week at home, you got UMass at home, and you got Georgia Tech at home. Side note, by the way, we've had 3 home games all year. Can we please fix that next year? I'm just going to be complaining all day, and I don't like that I'm doing that. We had 3 home games all year so far. Can we get a couple home games? Anyway.
Well, neutral site game, wasn't it in Atlanta?
Yeah,
it's a home game.
I mean,
it's a home game.
Not for our fans, not for our campus.
They got to drive 45 minutes to get to the game.
Yeah,
not 5 minutes.
Yeah, all the adults, not the.
What, the college kids are adults too?
No, they're not.
Oh well, yeah, I mean they're not.
No, they're not. Hey,
maybe
by the way,
maybe Athens Clark County PD can give them a ride.
You idiot.
Sorry, I had to.
Hey, all those fans, all those 19-year-olds storming the field against Ole Miss are not adults.
No,
all those Texas fans throwing stuff on the field, not adults. Hey, did you see, by the way, has anybody else seen this? I think it was BYU. I want to say it was BYU.
Yeah.
A cheerleading coach
got knocked out.
Got knocked out by a water bottle thrown onto the field.
Hey, been like a full water bottle.
Hey, SEC officials, that's on you, pal. Guys, that's on you, SEC officials. How many times have we seen stuff getting thrown on the field now? That's 1. Georgia was obviously the first. That's 2. Clemson had it. LSU, didn't they have it? Kirk Herbstreit seems like every game that he calls, we getting stuff thrown on the field. And nice job. You got a nice, dear old cheerleading coach knocked out. No idea how old she is. I don't know if she's a man or woman. But you got him knocked out, I think, as a girl. So that's on y'all. Anyway, where was I at? Georgia. You got whipped up front. I could go into a 30-minute thing about your recruiting on the offensive line and how that's shown, right? Your lack of, you took 18 months, a year and a half off of recruiting from Matt Luke when he retired from football before he went back in, and now he's obviously doing great things at Clemson. But he took pretty much a year and a half off of recruiting, and that shows. You didn't get a single 5-star recruit. You don't have any of those first-round NFL caliber guys at tackle. That's showing. You're banged up. Your right guard, Tate Ratledge, is playing legitimately on one leg if you go watch any of those replays against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss has a great defensive line. I said it earlier this week. I knew they were really good, but I didn't know if I believed yet that they were the number 1 defensive line in the country. Well, they are, right? Princely,
like 48 sacks.
It's unbelievable, man.
118.
Number 1, Princely. Not even going to try and say his last name. He's unbelievable. Speed Rush gave him a problem, which is, if you want to drag that over, and I'm trying to save Tennessee for the second half of the show, hey, James Pierce, you don't need to watch any other film all year than what Princely, whatever his last name is, was able to do last week for Ole Miss. Because guess what Princely did? Speed rush, speed rush, speed rush. Guess what James Pierce is great at? And the only thing he should really be worried about in his bag tomorrow, speed rush, speed rush, speed rush against Ernest Green, Georgia's left tackle. That's it. That's all you need. Speed rush and throw his hands down. He'll play nose over toes, and he's got no shot. He's not got no shot. Other than that, yeah, I'm really trying. That's all I want to say about Georgia, because it just goes right into the Tennessee. Let's talk about it. Let's check the pulse over in Tallahassee. Okay. Every week,
is there a pulse?
The beats per minute goes down another 15 or so. Norvell made changes. I think everybody knows exactly what this is. I don't think Norvell's fooling anybody that somebody had to go, and I don't even think that Norvell wanted to fire these guys, if I'm completely honest. I think Norvell knows it's his fault because of the class that he brought in, and the quarterback that he brought in, and the quarterback that he handed the keys to. I think Norvell knows that it's his fault, but somebody's got to be the scapegoat, and they're not going to pay him $70 million to buy him out. So obviously, where does that go? Offensive coordinator fired, defensive coordinator fired, receivers coach fired. It's rearing its ugly head, and it should. Like this is the state of college football. You cannot go 1-9, or really, you can't really go 4-6 or anything like that for a program like that and hang on to your recruits. That is the punishment. That is the punishment. And guess what? Here's the thing. FSU fans, we're already talking about, you've been talking about next year since week 3 or 4, right? And we've been holding out on that. But you shouldn't have confidence next year, right? To rebound from this, because first of all, you've already got recruits decommitting. Obviously, we talked about Tramel Jones. He's the Mandarin quarterback who's been out all year with the leg injury. He's real good. He's committed to FSU, and he just decommitted a couple days ago. And they're already saying potentially I think he's visiting UF very soon. But he's the 9th ranked dual quarterback in this next class. And it sucks for him that his senior year has kind of been taken away because of injury. I think I was at that game that he got. I think it was week 1 or 2. I could be wrong.
It was very early on.
Yeah. And still, Mandarin has been great, but that's a side note. So he leaves. A couple of guys leave. The other kid locally, Thomas, I believe it's Solomon Thomas, pretty much said on Twitter, like, hey, your OC, the Atkins OC, like, man, y'all fired my guy. Like, what are y'all doing? But then he followed up with like an hour later, and he was like, it's still business. Hashtag go Noles. Business is business. Pretty much saying, hey, go Noles, but if you want me, come get me. There's a price to pay, and FSU's going to have to pay that price too. But here's the thing: you're losing recruits, and that's not the biggest thing. You've lost the people that are going to that would have to pay for you to be good next year. Because guess what? They just handed over an entire, a huge lump sum to you, and what did they get?
Absolutely nothing.
They got 1-9.
They may get 1-11.
They might get 1-11. Who do they have?
It's like Charleston Southern.
Okay, they're going to get 2-10. Hey, Nick, we still got D1 football players on that team. We still got 4 stars playing on that field.
I'm a Tennessee fan. We lost to Georgia State a couple years back.
That's true.
6 years ago. Don't doubt anybody. I think that was like their first FBS year. Don't doubt anyone. We were taken to the brink by App State 2 years prior to that. Don't doubt anyone. It can happen.
Yeah.
And Florida State's god awful.
Yeah.
So a good chance it'll happen. Good chance it'll happen.
It's true. It's true. We didn't even talk about the game. I mean, that's what it's irrelevant at this point. You lost 52-3 to Notre Dame. So that's really cool.
I mean, I remember looking up the score in like first quarter. I was like, oh, they got 3 points. It might be a ball game. No.
Yeah.
They just forgot about it after that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Other scores from last week, we had Bama trouncing LSU 42-13.
I admit that was a surprising game.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a big win like that. I figured going into Death Valley night game and what felt like a pretty even matchup was going to make for a classic game, not a blowout home loss at night. I really was expecting a better game than that from LSU, which is, I mean, kind of sad, but it's Brian Kelly. I have no faith in the guy.
I don't either.
Absolutely no faith.
Do you think LSU fans should be calling for his job already?
I wouldn't say calling for his job already. I mean, they'll finish 8-4, 9-3 this year, whatever they might finish. I don't think Aaron Nussmeier's the guy. Yeah, sure, he had the Heisman winner last year. But you give him another year, and then, he's on the hot seat. If he can't improve to 10-2, 11-1, and make a playoff berth.
Yeah. So LSU's obviously they were in that A&M, right? Because we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago that the LSU and A&M were at the top of the SEC.
Yeah. Right.
They had the best, and if the schedule, or if the year had ended, then that they would be representing the SEC in the championship. Obviously, we've talked about last week how both those teams had a quick fall from grace. Right? It wasn't a bigger rise than fall because A&M loses to South Carolina by a wide margin and loses their starting running back Le'Veon Moss. Right? And then LSU, obviously, they don't look the same. They have 3 losses now, I believe. And obviously this one to Bama at home. Brian Kelly, look, I mean, this is what he does, though, right? We know this. This is who he is. The big games have always been tough for him, even at Notre Dame. I am not ready to sell out on Nussmeier. It's crazy. I think I mentioned it last week that I saw him as a projected top 10 pick in next year's draft, which is a little nuts to me. But I think he is he of all the guys now. I mean, he kind of can rip it more than anybody as far as a true pocket passer. He's going to throw the football to the other team because he's an aggressive guy and he doesn't turn the football down like a lot of guys do. But that's your type of guy. Other than that, LSU, I mean, I think this one was more about Bama. There's times where Milroe is just, you can tell almost in the first half or first quarter even maybe, that he's the best player on the field and nobody's beating him that today. Right? Yeah. And I feel like that was one of those. Other than that, Mississippi State obviously goes to Tennessee, 33-14 Vols win. We're going to get to that a little bit later. And then South Carolina with the big one, 28-7 over Vandy. That's a nice win for them. I don't know if everybody knows, but South Carolina is ranked. They're 21st right now, and they're 6-3 with top wins over ranked opponents. Potentially, they should have another one. They let Bama get off easily, and I believe there's another team they let
LSU.
Yeah, they let LSU. That's right.
I mean, it's a team you could very seriously say is 3 or 4 plays from being undefeated.
Oh yeah. Look, let me ask you this. So they're hosting Missouri this week.
Oh, they're going to beat Missouri.
Do you know what the spread on that game is?
Hosting Missouri at home. 13.5 South Carolina.
Bro, do you have the tab up?
No.
You sure?
Yes. You can come back here and look. I don't.
Bro, yeah, it's 13.5.
Yeah.
Dude,
I hate South Carolina because I know South Carolina.
I know. But maybe we got some special powers with that freaking get up you got on and something like that. Look, excited for the second half of the show. We got a lot to get to. We got full prediction. We're gonna go back to the bracket also and break down what we think what it's gonna look like in the weeks to come. Especially with teams like Indiana, Georgia, teams on the way out. How many teams are still in the fight, right? We kind of a big talking point across the country these last, at least probably the 3 weeks before this last one, was, look, there's probably 20 to 25 teams that are still in the hunt, still in the fight at least. How has that dwindled? How many teams are still in it? Which teams do you still have to keep your eye on, and which ones are done? And we got a lot of that to get to as well. I'll get to UCF as well. Take the risk, and is he the guy? And then the last 3 matchups of each SEC team. Tennessee Nick is Rain Man.
That ain't right.
You deserve it.
Oh, Rain Man.
You deserve it. We got 32 more minutes to get to before I don't have to, before this guy heads to the other side of the bed. Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be right back on Stadium Pulse and full Georgia-Tennessee prediction and a lot more. We'll see you in 5.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month. and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bolt City Heating and Air at BoltCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. And most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick GMC. We are professional grade.
If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts.
Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to Stadium Pulse on a Friday. Hope you're having a good Friday morning so far. It's almost the weekend. Look, before we get into our Week 12 predictions, look, we only got 3 weeks left of this college football slate. 3 weeks left of this regular season. It's truly flown by. So my advice to you, if you're listening, especially if you were a Jaguars fan, look, we had a tough weekend as a state of Florida, right, which I don't claim to associate with from a college football perspective, but it's not lost on me that a lot of fans, anybody watching the show, the probably large majority of you are not happy with the current state of your football team, right? But look, my encouragement is still this: we have 3 weeks left of college football before we get to the playoff, or before we get to conference championships and then the playoff. Enjoy those Saturdays. Because you got to hang on to them. We don't have many left. Excuse me, my fault. Let's get to the Swamp. We're gonna check the pulse there. Look, obviously they get trounced by Texas. They go to Texas and lose that game 49-17. Lagway doesn't play. Obviously, Aiden Warner does. It's a tough one, right? Not putting a whole lot of stock into it. Not all that worried about it. Don't think Florida fans are either. Not that big of a deal. You know, we all know how banged up your football team has been. I don't think Badger played in that one either. I don't know about Trey White. I don't think he did either. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, somebody in the chat, if Trey White and Elijah Badger played in that football game, but I don't believe they did. So now you're hosting LSU, right? You're hosting LSU, then you're hosting Ole Miss, and then you got FSU, obviously, right? So you're sitting at 4 wins. I don't know This is because I'm so far removed from this, and that's a prideful thing to say, but it's just the reality of the situation with what I've been with Georgia. I don't know how big being bowl eligible is to fans nowadays, right? Is it that big of a deal if you go 6-6 versus 5-7, right? To fans, is it even that embarrassing? I know it used to be. It used to be pretty embarrassing if you missed out on a bowl game. I know Missouri celebrated it 4 weeks ago when they won their 6th game, which was ridiculous that they were bowl eligible, gone bowling. I think they got shirts for everybody in the locker room after they won their 6th one when they're supposed to be, a playoff contender. That's besides the point. So I don't know how big of a deal it is for Florida fans to be bowl eligible, but it's right there in front of you. You just got to split these next 2 tough ones and then beat up on FSU. Right? So you either got to beat LSU at home or beat Ole Miss. I think everybody would agree that your best opportunity at that would be tomorrow, beating LSU, who's coming off, I believe, back-to-back losses, right? They just lost to Bama, we know that. And I believe A&M's lost to A&M was right before that. So a lot of people will say, man, I mean, maybe it's even tougher because you don't expect a Brian Kelly coached team with all that talent to lose 3 in a row. And I see that. At the same time, it's tough probably for just like a lot of teams when you lose 2 in a row. And last week for LSU was the nail in the coffin of your playoff hopes are done, your conference championships are done. It's tough for a team like that with all that talent sometimes in this day and age, right, to stay in it, right, especially when you're going on the road next week. So I liked Florida, and I think they're going to be trying to take advantage of that. Obviously, the only big thing for us, deciding factor in this game is whether your quarterback's going to play, whether DJ Lagway is going to play. It's huge. And I know he's trending in the right direction. I believe he practiced and has a couple of limited practices under his belt this week. We know that obviously he really hurt the hamstring against Georgia, was taken out with 5 minutes left of the second quarter, missed last week against LSU. And I think it says a lot. And I think Tennessee Nick and I were talking in the break, and look, I think everybody knows that it's well chronicled how much we've talked about DJ Lagway on this show. And a month ago, after his first start not against Stanford, I crowned him as tied for the 5th best quarterback in the SEC. Legitimately, and Nick, and come on in here, that this truly is. If DJ Lagway plays, we believe Florida's going to win this football game.
100%.
And, it's a tough line for Vegas to set, not knowing. I think they have it at 3.5 in the Tigers' favor. But it just says a lot, right, of the belief that we have in DJ Lagway, that he's so versatile, he's so talented, right? And I don't think he has to be fully healthy even. I really don't. I think Napier has his guys in the right spot, in the right frame of mind, playing hard enough around him. And I believe Elijah Badger's going to play in this game as well, which is huge. That's why I just don't know if he played at all last week or not at all. That he's got his big weapons back, obviously. He's still got DK and Mizell. Again, I don't know about Trey White. I got to check the injury report. But if Lagway plays, we're taking Florida to not only to cover the spread 3.5, but to win this football game.
100%.
I think that says a lot about Brian Kelly too. But I think you got to be hopeful because look, you don't want to host Ole Miss next week with bowl eligibility on the line. Again, if that's even that big of a deal, right? Because here's the thing. If I'm a Florida fan, right, I would love to see us compete. I would love to see us compete and get another big win, just almost to see Lagway play, right, and go beat a ranked opponent. But I would venture to guess that for a lot of Florida fans, 40% of them has already checked out to next year of I've seen all I needed to see from DJ Lagway to already be locked in and anticipatory for next year of trying to go win 9 games. And maybe stretch it just enough to 10 to be in the playoff conversation next year, right? He's shown me so much that I'm so hopeful for next year that nothing really that he can show me in the next 3 games other than whooping FSU, right? I'm fully aware that every Florida fan, that's the one, right? And FSU likewise. FSU will trade these last 3 or 4 losses to surprise Florida and beat Lagway at home last week of the season, right? We know that.
But they get a 3-game homestand? Florida does?
No. The last game's in Tallahassee.
Okay. I was about to say, it's wild to get a 3-game homestand to end the year.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Georgia has, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you for proving my point. Can we please get more home games early in the season? We got Tennessee hosting Tennessee, hosting UMass, hosting Georgia Tech. Garbage. Anyway, real quick before I wanted to leave plenty of time for Georgia Tennessee, so I'm just going to comment very briefly on UCF because they have a bye week this week, so not a whole lot to get to. But you lost real close to Arizona State. You've played well the last 3 weeks. You come out 1-2 from those. You got to love what you're getting from the quarterback, Dylan Risk. He's putting the ball at risk. I didn't quite plan on using that pun, so that's my bad today. I needed to work a little harder to get more original material. But obviously, I think a lot of that's on Malzahn and not on your quarterback because late in the second half, 50 seconds to go in the second half, it's right around a tie ball game, and Arizona just scored. You get backed up, and you're actually on your own one. You're on your own one with a guy who's making his third start for your program with 50 seconds left to go in the half that you've been in control of.
That's dicey.
And you throw the football right over the middle. A play that you run all the time, RPO slant. He throws a slant, linebacker steps right in front, catches it, pick six. You're down a half, right? There are simple things that we can do as coaches. Obviously, you would love Risk to maybe not throw that football, okay? But sometimes you got to save your players from themselves, knowing that I got to know my player. I got to know that he wants to take shots. He wants to throw the football. He's not conservative, or he's. It's not easy, right, to take that out of a quarterback who that's how he's played his whole life and that's his mentality. How about we be a good football coach and we run the football and we run the clock out and we go to half up, right? And little things like that just I'm sure UCF fans are quite frustrated about with Malzahn. But again, it's nothing new. It's nothing new with him, and that's why you're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility as well. Which is very, very disappointing from where we thought you could be going into the season. I thought they could compete. Obviously, I was not a KJ fan, but I thought he'd be way better than he was. I thought you'd be in, I think I said 6 one-score games, and that could either put you as second in the Big 12 and competing for a conference championship, or where they are now, where they've lost every single one of those, and they're far from that. I plan on getting to the bracket, but in case we don't, I don't want to spend any more time. We got to get to Georgia. We got to get to Tennessee because that's what the people came to see. Nick.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it is about Nico Amaliava, right?
Hey, you got the name right.
Amaliava? It's clockwork, bub.
Yeah.
It's clockwork. I've been working on it. It's very similar situation to Florida, Lagway.
Yeah.
Whether he plays or not says a lot. So tell the people what the injury update is with Nico and who the backup is.
The last I've read was an update from, I think I read it at about 7 this morning. It's about 10 o'clock last night.
Uh-huh.
It was a report from Chris Lowe that he was pretty confident that he would end up playing. Now, Chris Lowe's an ESPN guy, or was an ESPN guy. I think he still is with ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
But his report is that he feels pretty good about Nico playing Saturday. And that's along with Apple being pretty confident they'll have him ready for Saturday. And Nico having been through, I think, 2 full practices at this point in the week. On Friday, as I think one was Tuesday or Wednesday one, and he said at his press conference, it was Tuesday. He said, just monitor the injury report.
Mm-hmm.
You guys always do. And that dropped Wednesday, and of course, he's listed then as questionable. And he'll probably remain questionable. We probably won't know until sometime tomorrow. I fully expect we don't know until 6 o'clock when the final availability report comes out. So, and I think Hype is fully confident in whatever scheme he'll have.
Yeah.
Whether it's Nico or whether it's Gaston Moore.
So who's Gaston Moore? What's his profile?
He's backup guy. He's traveled with Hypo from UCF to Tennessee. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah, he'll come in. He ain't shy to take his shots. I think he threw him into a couple DPIs last week to move the ball a good 30 yards or so downfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I put him in. I don't think we scored a touchdown off of that. We got field goals.
Right.
Because I think really, much like the Oklahoma game earlier in the season, which if you know what happened after that, and it may bode well for Georgia fans. Heupel says to Nico post-game is we took the foot off the gas there and just let the defense kind of coast us out. And that's kind of what they did on offense. They didn't really try to go and score anything. I think Samson got a touchdown, his 1 touchdown of the game or his 2nd touchdown of the game in the second half. but he didn't go trying to like force the issue too much
Yeah.
on offense. He just kind of was like, all right, we're going to hold him on defense.
Let me save you. Let me save you right quick. Let me hop in.
Cool.
I know I know you're battling through, and I appreciate it. Look, here's some reasons to be optimistic if you're a Georgia fan right off the rip, okay? And it starts with this challenge to the Tennessee fan or just them in general. Who have you beaten this year? You beat Oklahoma, who they were 15th at the time. Now they're terrible.
Yeah.
You
NC State was highly ranked when we beat them.
and they're terrible, right? Obviously, you beat Alabama. That is your one win. Other than that, you have not beat, in my opinion, you've beat nobody. As far as, I mean, I don't think that's not far fetched, right? As far as teams that are still ranked at the moment, Bama is your only one.
I understand,
right? That's part of it. Here's the other part that you build off of that, right? And it goes back to Nico, them taking the foot off the gas. Which team has Nico beaten? None. Nico has not won you a football game so far this year.
No.
Right? Here's the other thing.
I meant that. I mean, if anybody on teams won his games, it's still in Samson.
Right. So this is what I want to get to because this is all right. So obviously, I think the way that we've set this up, it'll give it away, but that's okay. Where's my stat here? Okay, look, you got two football teams, and Nick, obviously, you're going to get this, but think about the identities of these two football teams, right? Everybody would say that Georgia's the run first, and play defense, right? That's how they won national championships, and Stetson was almost a weird part of that, where he threw the football more than Georgia had ever thrown the football, right? We spread it out more than we'd ever done. And then Tennessee is the spread it out team that doesn't play great defense, right? And everybody kind of goes back to the 2022 game, Hendon Hooker, right, where you got all these playmakers and throw the ball, Heupel. That's all he does. And that is true. That's going back to UCF, that's who he is. He spreads it out, uses all 53.5 yards width of the field, and really just takes shots. But look, 12.5 points per game allowed. Which team is that? One team that's playing tomorrow allows 12 points a game and rushes for 235. It ain't Georgia.
Yeah, it's a different brand of football in Tennessee, it seems, this year. Now, admittedly, I feel like Mississippi State got a couple gash runs on us. It wasn't fun to see. It was worrisome, but, that's been the MO of the team this year, which I've been happy with. I mean, Sampson's been great. The defense has been really good. They have allowed...
Should be a Heisman candidate, Dylan Sampson.
It's going to be hard to argue with Ginty, though, but
I know.
He should be in the argument, I will admit.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you. Let me break this down real quick. Here's the thing for Georgia, and that goes back to this. So it's Tennessee defense allowing only 12 points a game. Georgia, you're allowing 18.5. 18.5, that's good, but it's not great, right? It's not up to Georgia's standard, but it's still really good. We can't be spoiled and take that for granted. You're allowing 18.5 points per game. You're rushing for 124 yards a game. Hey, Georgia, you want to know what your key to the game is? You're 104th in the country in rushing right now. Georgia football is 104th in total rushing in 2024. You want to know why the offense? Everything's on Carson Beck. You're Georgia and you're 104th in rushing. I'm not giving him excuses, right? Beck should play better, and he has not played well. And for them to win tomorrow, he's got to play well. Because guess what? Here's the other thing that you got to know. If you're going to watch this football game, Georgia has one healthy running back. One. And it's the fourth guy coming into the season who's played like a number two, right? It's not going to be like, oh, this is our fourth guy. No, he's not really not. He's the freshman, Nate Frazier, right? But Etienne was rolled out yesterday, and then Roderick Robinson and Branson Robinson both haven't really played for you all year. Branson played a little bit, but he's been out. Roderick's been out all year. Look, it just is what it is. You're playing your fourth guy who's been good, Nate Frazier, your freshman, but he's had fumble problems, and then your fifth guy, Cash Jones, the white dude with the mullet, he's questionable. Other than that, that's all you have. Guess what you're going to see, Georgia? You're probably going to see 86 in the backfield. Your receiver, Dylan Bell, who played a little bit last year when you were really banged up. You're banged up on the offensive line, and you got to block better. You have to block better because Tennessee's D-line, it might not be as good as Ole Miss, but it's still a top 10 probably in the country. And Tennessee, look, what Ole Miss did was they slanted and ran games up front, right? When you're an inside zone football team like Georgia is, that really gave you fits. Tennessee, that's not really something they do on the line, but that's something that if they should implement. They should 100% implement. Georgia, you got to run the football with Nate Frazier. And Beck has to take over this game. Because if you run the football with 25 times with Nate Frazier, a lot of people are going to be nervous. Other reason to be excited if you're Georgia before we get to real keys to victory for both teams. Georgia hasn't lost to Tennessee in 7 years. That's right, 7 years. Kirby hasn't lost back-to-back games since 2018. Hasn't lost back-to-back regular season games since 2016. That was his first year. Okay. For Tennessee, you probably were wishing that Georgia would have beat Ole Miss last week, right?
I mean, it would make me feel a little bit better about this week, but
100%.
You get dealt the hand, you get dealt.
Right. So here's the keys to victory real quick for Georgia. You'll give the keys to victory for Tennessee, and we got 60 seconds each, and then I'll wrap us and get us out of here. Georgia, got to run the football, right? Carson Beck, everything has to be working. Everything has to be working. I don't need you to go 90%. I don't need you to 400 yards, but every part of the playbook has to be available. Last week, it wasn't because we had a little bit less trust in you because of all the interceptions that you've thrown and because our line wasn't holding up. So everything was at the line of scrimmage. Quick slant, screen, drags, everything. We got to throw the football from down the field. Your biggest completion, your longest completion last week was to your running back, Cash Jones. If that happens again this week, Georgia, you are a loser. You have 3 losses, and you are not going to be in the college football playoff. Right? That's it. You have got to throw the football to your receivers, which, again, we could talk about for 30 minutes how you have not recruited well at that position. But the reinforcements are coming, but they're not going to be here till next year. Right, Beck, you have got to have a game. You have to go for 400 yards. You got to take care of the football, play turnover free. Defense will take care of itself. Anybody who was complaining about last week giving up 28 points, it was really 22 because you gave it to them on your own 25 because of late turnovers and fumbles when you had to throw the ball every play. And I know I'm rambling here, but you gave up 15 points to Texas, and you really gave up 22 to Ole Miss. Georgia's defense is fine. Guess what? Tennessee does not have the offense of either of those two programs. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Iamaleava, whether he plays or not, can't really hit downfield shots. That's not really a worry. You're going to be able to stack the box against Samson. I think that this is take the under, whatever it is. This is a 27-16 game. Maybe not even get to that. The spread is 9.5. I have Tennessee covering by 0.5 point. You're getting hooked if you take it. 27-16 dogs. Nick, your turn. Tell the people why they're right.
Why they're right.
And why I'm wrong.
Yeah, really front four between tackles and ends, they've got to feast. They got to get in the backfield. We had some run gap misfits that just blew open against State. We've got to shore those up. So that's kind of between the front four and linebackers. I think that's one of the big keys is like we have to not allow those. We've got to stay in the backfield, regardless of who plays at quarterback, Nico, Gaston, Jack Marklinger, whoever it is. Don't play hero ball. Just be efficient. Mm-hmm. Hit your guys when they're there. Take the shots that you can. And that unlocks the third key that I think is going to be the most important, is keep the offense going in the pass game so where they can't stack the box.
Right.
Keep Georgia from being able to be in the box. If you can open the box up a little bit and give Samson room, then let him work. He doesn't have to have 200 yards. I mean, he broke off 140 last week. He's just got to be efficient. He's got to have a 120-yard game and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something like that, or 2 touchdowns or whatever it is. And then Gaston, Nico, Jake, whoever it is, just be efficient. We don't need superhero ball. I mean, look, these teams are giving up. So Tennessee's 12.6 points. Georgia's giving up 18 points.
Yeah.
Tennessee's giving up 100 yards on the ground a game. Y'all are giving up 111. We're giving up 171 through the air. It's going to be a slugfest. It's not going to be an easy game.
No.
I think a 10-point spread, Tennessee covers, but I think it's more by like 7.
Yeah.
Than like a point.
You're not taking your team, are you? Look at what you're. Hey!
Look,
hey! You look at what you're wearing.
I gotta take my team. I know in a normal sense, but here's my realism thing. They're coming off a loss. It smells like a loss. But
why am I surprised that you're saying that? We got to get out of here.
Defense makes me believe.
Okay. You should. You should if you're Tennessee. Hey, how about we end with
I
this?
believe in the rookie. I believe in the kicker, too. It's a 3-point game. We get the dub.
Atta baby. Finally. Thank you, Tennessee.
Sit
Nick.
on the couch here, buddy.
Atta baby. We're gonna wrap this up. We got to get it out here. 15 seconds. Last thing. How about this? John Gruden reveals how close he came to taking the Tennessee coaching job. My wife cheered at Tennessee. I love Tennessee. I was a graduate coach there. I did talk to the athletic director. Peyton Manning, Kenny Chesney. Why is Kenny Chesney? But he almost pulled the trigger. Look, I wish John Gruden was your football coach instead of Josh Heupel because he's a good football coach. But give me the dogs. Give me Florida with Lagway as long as he plays. And give me another week of Stadium Pulse. I appreciate y'all for watching. Britton Austin show starts in 5 minutes. Don't forget high school football playoffs tonight. We'll be there at 10:30 and 11:15. And we got a lot of good playoff matchups that we're going to preview on the Britton Austin show, as well as why the Lions are going to beat us by 35 points. That'll do it for us today. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.